Marcus Chen wiped the purple ichor from his combat knife, his breathing ragged as he surveyed the carnage around him. 300 Vorthak corpses littered the crystalline caverns of Kepler 442b, their chitinous bodies reflecting the eerie blue glow of the planet's twin moons through the cave opening. His tactical suit was torn in 17 places, each rent telling the story of claws that had come too close, of mandibles that had nearly found their mark. The silence was deafening after hours of inhuman shrieks and the wet sounds of combat. Marcus's enhanced hearing picked up 2 faint heartbeats deeper in the cave system, still alive, still fighting. The Zorathi twins, barely 8 years old by their species' reckoning, had been taken during the raid on Settlement Gamma 7 3 days ago. Most species would have written them off. The Galactic Council's standard protocol was clear: civilian. Casualties were acceptable losses when facing a Vorthak hive. Even the mighty Krex Dominion, with their legendary warrior culture, had learned to cut their losses rather than face a full swarm. But Marcus was human, and humans, as the galaxy was still learning, had a pathological inability to abandon their own. He'd tracked the raiding party across half a continent, following spore trails and pheromone signatures that his military-grade implants could barely detect. The Vorthak were clever. They'd split into smaller groups, laid false trails, even used the planet's magnetic storms to mask their heat signatures. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated human stubbornness. The first 50 had been easy. Marcus had caught them in the open plains, picking them off with his plasma rifle from a kilometer away. Vorthak were ambush predators, not used to being hunted. Their compound eyes couldn't track his movement patterns, couldn't predict the seemingly random paths he took through the crystal formations. The next 100 had been harder. They'd reached the hive entrance and had the advantage of numbers and terrain. But Marcus had something they didn't: 3 years of specialized training on Earth's Australian continent, where the military had learned to replicate Vorthak fighting conditions using genetically modified creatures that made the real thing look tame. By the time he'd fought his way to the inner chambers, his ammunition was running low and his suit's medical systems were working overtime to keep him conscious. The final 100 had been pure brutality, knife work in cramped tunnels, using improvised explosives made from his suit's power cells, turning their own acidic blood against them. Now, as he approached the deepest chamber, Marcus could hear them. 2 small voices speaking in the melodic language of the Zorathi, trying to comfort each other in the darkness. The sound rekindled something primal in his chest, something that had kept him moving when logic said to retreat. The chamber opened into a vast space, and there, in an alcove carved from living rock, were Lisa and Keith. Their pale blue skin was unmarked, their large eyes wide with fear but not despair. The Vorthak kept their prey alive and fresh, a fact that had both horrified and motivated Marcus through his bloody journey. "It's okay," he said in their language, his translator implant smoothing out his rough pronunciation. "I'm here to take you home." The twins looked at each other, then at this strange, scarred human who'd appeared like some mythical hero from their people's ancient stories. Lisa, the older by mere minutes, spoke first. "Are you real? Mother said humans were just stories?" Marcus knelt down, wincing as his damaged ribs protested. "I'm real, and your mother sent me." It wasn't entirely true. The Zorathi Council had officially requested assistance, but Zara Tel Thani, the twins' mother, had sought him out personally. She'd found him in the human district of Station Alpha, where he'd been drowning his latest mission's casualties in synthetic whiskey. "Please," she'd said, her voice carrying the harmonic undertones that made Zorathi speech so beautiful. "They say you're the one who saved the colony children on Rigel Prime. They say humans don't abandon their pack." "They're not my pack," Marcus had replied, but even as he said it, he'd known it was a lie. The journey back was easier. The twins rode on his shoulders, taking turns. chattering about their adventure with the resilience that seemed universal among children. They didn't understand the significance of the trail of bodies they passed, didn't grasp that their rescue had required one human to become something approaching a monster himself. When they finally reached Settlement Gamma 7, Zara was waiting, at the gates. The reunion was everything Marcus had pictured during the darkest moments in the caves: tears, laughter, the kind of joy that made 3 days of hell seem like a fair trade. But it was what happened next that would stay with him forever. Zara approached him as the medical team fussed over the twins. In her hands was a small crystal pendant, glowing with soft inner light. "This is a Jelthari," she said. "In our culture, it's given to those who become family through choice rather than birth. You shed blood for my children. You risked everything when you owed us nothing." She placed the pendant around his neck, and Marcus felt its warmth against his chest. "Among the Zorathi, you are now their uncle. They will carry your name in their hearts, and their children will know the story of the human who walked through hell itself." Marcus looked down at the pendant, then at the twins, who were waving at him from the medical tent. Every scar throbbed, every torn muscle ached. But in this moment, he understood something about his species that the galaxy was still figuring out. Humans didn't just fight for territory or resources or ideology. They fought for connections, for the idea that somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, someone cared whether they came home. 300 Vorthak had learned that lesson the hard way. As he watched Zara embrace her children, Marcus smiled despite the pain. The galaxy could keep its protocols and acceptable losses. Humans would always choose the harder path, the one that led to moments like this. Some rewards, he thought, touching the pendant, were indeed worth every scar.